Welcome to the Shifting with Marlee podcast. I'm Marlee. Thank you for joining me wherever you are. All that I ask of you, the listener, is to have an open mind and an open heart. And in return, I offer you myself. Today, we're going to talk about keys to unlocking our highest expression, because that really is the goal of incarnating on Earth, to learn and grow and evolve so that we can realize our highest potential, our highest expression, our highest path. And in essence, we're talking about creating the reality our souls desire. So today we're going to explore the path to get there and dive deeper into topics such as love and authenticity, and also how to integrate and embody the wisdom we receive along the way from the unseen realms. As Sia Lanua Estrella says, your highest expression is about embodiment. It's about how you show up in the world. Living your highest expression is your greatest service. Let's dive in. Here to join us on this journey of discovery today and share her wisdom is Natalie Wallis. Natalie is a spiritual guide, mentor, and Trance Channel based in Germany and founder of the Aquila Perspective School of Light. Welcome, Natalie.
Hi, Marlee. Thank you for having me.
I'm so grateful for you to be here today. And I was actually recently in one of your containers and just found the wisdom you shared and channeled and the perspectives you shared so profound, but also extremely tangible and implementable. And it just got me so excited. So I immediately wanted to share it with the world. So just thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm really grateful for this opportunity. And it was a real pleasure to have you in that container. And you were extremely brave with sharing what you were going through and what you needed help with. And I think courage and bravery is actually one of the keys to living our truest and highest potential. So well done.
Thank you. And before we get started, Natalie, can you please let people know where they can find you and connect with you?
Yes, sure. You'll find me mainly when it comes to social media on Instagram at Aquila_perspective_channeling. And my website is aquilaperspective.com.
To start off today, Natalie, can you please share with us your journey to becoming a trance channel and opening the Aquila Perspective School of Light?
Well, that's a long story, but I'll try and keep it to the main points. It actually started on a houseboat in Kashmir, India. And I was sitting at the dinner table across from a French psychotherapist, a woman I had met on my travels. And she asked to see the palm of my hand and said, "Oh, you're an old soul." And I was 21 at that time. And I kind of looked at her and I was like, "What's an old soul?" And she just smiled and said, "Start meditating." And that was it. That's all she left me with. And so when I got home, that's exactly what I did. I bought a book on meditation and started staring at a candle. And very quickly, I got very into the whole meditation thing. And I found my third eye opening. At the time, I had no clue, though, that it was called a third eye. And I started having visions of a past life, a very clear vision. And to keep it short, this was my spiritual awakening. So I had visions of a past life and then an outer body experience and a Kundalini awakening, and it all happened very quickly. And then I started doing automatic writing, and that's where I started channeling. And at the time, I didn't really know who I was channeling, but it just flowed through me very, very naturally. So that was the beginning of my journey. But I then shared that with my ex-partner at the time, and he kind of just laughed at me. And that created a block pretty quick. So I didn't want to, my desire to share what I was receiving with the world was kind of like, maybe not. And then I went on a very long life journey. I was always connected to my intuition, though. I've always followed my intuition. I've always said I have travel angels, and they've always protected me on my travels. And so I've always had a very natural and easy connection to the spiritual realms, even if I couldn't describe it in that way at the time. And then maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I really reconnected to that channeling. And I started connecting to the Pleiadian Council of Light. So these are star beings that come from the star cluster of the Pleiades. And at some point they said to me, create your school of light. And I was like, okay, what's that? What am I supposed to do with this? And so there was a lot of channeling and back and forth and having a conversation with them where they basically explained to me that I was here to guide emerging and advanced light workers and to create a community of light workers who came back to Earth to help Mother Earth with her ascension. And so, yeah, that was the beginning. I listened and I created my school of light. And yeah, it's been a pretty wild journey, but that was the beginning.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. Such a beautiful journey. And I love that it kind of just started happening spontaneously when she started meditating and kind of tuning in. That's beautiful. I've always found trance channeling so fascinating and so powerful. And I admire people who can trance channel so much. It's such a gift.
It is a gift, but I think we could all, I mean, I think, as you know, we're all connected, right? We all have a channel to the divine, but depending on our life experiences in this life, but also in all our past lives, it's more or less clear. And depending on maybe traumatizing, specifically past life experiences, a lot of our gifts are, I don't know if I'd call them blocked or dormant, but we have these frozen emotions that are like sitting on top of our gifts, and all they need is actually to be released. So I know I came here with this gift completely open, but I had other ones that were not open at that time and which have opened over time now. So I think everybody can trance channel, but it does require a certain amount of inner work and energy healing.
Yes, that's a really great way to put it. And I'm so curious, Natalie, besides the Pleiadians, who are you receiving messages from when you trance channel?
Well, I've come, to the conclusion is probably not the best way to say it, but I believe you can channel who you desire to channel. You just set the intention, and that's my experience of it. So when I work with my clients, I channel their guides. I channel, but I also channel the angels, ascended masters. I channel the Akashic records. That's a very important part of my work. But I really have had the experience that I can choose. I set the intention to, I can, look up the ascended masters and see that one of them, is specialized in the theme that's currently important to me, and I'll channel them, ask to connect, and I'll channel them. And I've had the experience that I really feel the different energies, but I also hear the different accents. And I find that just always makes me smile because I can hear these different accents or like female male energies coming through, which is actually very similar to mediumship. So I also dove into mediumship at one point, and that was actually a very, very important experience for me, because you really learn to feel the different types of energies and the personalities of the people, of the departed loved ones coming through. And I've had the same experiences with guides. So I've had some guides who are very, sort of stiff upper lip, sort of Englishmen, but I've also had then very sort of fairy-like, playful, joyful energy. And I really enjoy it. I love it.
So fascinating and so fun. And I love that you can tap into so many different beings and energies. So powerful. And I also just want to be clear for people listening, just in case you don't know, because I do know, Natalie, you work a lot with the Ascended Masters. And in the container I was in with you, I felt like there was a lot of messages coming through from the Ascended Masters. So I just want to, for people listening, in case you don't know, the Ascended Masters are a group of powerful beings in the unseen realms who have incarnated on Earth before and are now helping humanity evolve from the unseen realms. And they actually achieved their highest expression when they were on Earth, right? So, like, they get it. They've been there and they have so much wisdom to share. And they also bring that higher level perspective as well. So, yeah, really powerful.
Yes. And they really have that example, as you say. They have that human experience that's backing their wisdom, so to say. I mean, not that the other wisdom needs backing, but there's that, the human bit about it that's really interesting then. And the guidance is often, I found, sometimes more tangible. Like, it's really, you can really use it then more easily in your everyday life, because some channeled messages can be quite they're always incredibly beautiful, but sometimes you have to think twice before you really understand them. So it's nice to have a variety.
It is nice. And that's been my experience as well. And I also just want to highlight, because you mentioned that anyone can channel, but also anyone can call on these beings and work with them too, right, Natalie?
Absolutely. It's all about intention. And I think what really blocks us is that lack of belief in ourselves, that we tell ourselves this story that it's a gift that we don't have, or that we're not capable or not good enough, or there are so many stories that we tell ourselves that we're actually just standing in our own way. But I know it feels very real. I've had the experience myself. But once we really connect to our essence, I think that is actually the key. When you connect to your essence, to your soul, to the love, because we are love. We are unconditional love. Our soul is love. So that's our essence. And the frequency of love is the frequency of these beings that I channel and that you can channel, that we can all channel. And I believe, and this is the experience I've had with a lot of clients, is that when they feel that energy, when they really feel the energy of their soul, then there's something, it's like it activates that soul remembrance. That story starts to crumble. It's like, okay, I'm feeling something. Well, maybe there's something to it. And little by little, all those beliefs, those limitations, they start to dissolve. And that's a really, really beautiful process to witness.
Beautiful. And I'm very curious, Natalie, how has working with these beings, all these different beings and energies and the messages you've received through trance channeling, how has that changed your life?
It's changed my life in so many ways. I think the beginning is always like connecting to your intuition and acting on it. And this is something I did, let's say, unconsciously for most of my life. And that automatically brings you to meeting the right people, to going the right places. So I met my husband. Actually, these were my guides. They told me to go to Manila. I was thinking about traveling again alone. I'd had a conflict with my ex-partner and I just wanted to get out and go somewhere. And I just spent 6 months in Manila in the Philippines. And so I was kind of, where shall I go? And I kept hearing very clear message, Manila. And I was like, no, I've just spent 6 months there. I want to go somewhere else. Manila. And it was so loud and persistent. I was like, okay, and so I looked up the flights, and the best flight to Manila was on the 11th of November, so 11/11, at 11 o'clock and 11 minutes. And I was like, okay, well, for anyone listening who doesn't know, these are angel numbers. That means it's aligned. And I was like, okay, here we go. And on that trip, I met my husband, my now husband, with whom I've been together for 14 years. So, and with who I have 2 children. And so that was just one small, big example of how it's changed my life. But generally, I think the most important point is it's just really, truly, deeply connected me to my heart and to my soul and to the energy of love. Because I think, as with anything you do in life, if you connect or spend time in an energy every day, and I channel my guides every morning, and automatically your energy calibrates to their energy, to the energy of love. And that just simply that daily connection to their energy is enough to shift your energy. That's one point. So that was really shifting me to being more and more connected to love and joy and inner peace. That's a huge part. So I think love and joy, just simply that daily connection. And this requires commitment, a certain devotion, is asking the right questions. So every time I had an emotional trigger, I went into the Akashic records and I asked, okay, I always start by writing, what am I feeling? So I get the feelings flowing, I acknowledge what I'm feeling. And then I ask, okay, well, why am I feeling this? What do I need to know about it? And then I always get the answer. And sometimes it's very simple, but a lot of times it takes me into a past life, and I get a story of a past life which gives me the higher perspective on the situation. And just sometimes it's one sentence, and like I literally feel my whole body just completely relax, and I just feel this inner peace just wash over me. And all the anger, the frustration, the resentment, whatever it was, just whoop, disappears in that second. And I can go back to the person, whoever I was having an argument with, and only love, and everything's fine, nothing's happened. And that's just incredible. That is incredible. And I found that has led me, I think that's another point, is that the more you channel, the more you actually have your higher self's voice in your head. So instead of the ego saying, and he did that and she did this and whatever, you just have that sort of go and give him or her a hug and, all is well, or what, you just get this really loving guidance that your ego would never tell you. And then you find yourself, hardly having conflictual situations anymore. So yeah, relationships has been a really big thing. But the most important, well, it's not the most important, everything's important, but what I've found for me is speaking my truth. And that has been huge, because I was terrified most of my life to really reveal who I truly was. I'm highly sensitive. I was always told that my feelings were too much, so I never expressed my feelings. And so, speaking your truth is also speaking the truth of your feeling. It's also saying, okay, this is what I'm feeling right now, or this is what I need. That's also your truth. There are so many different levels of truth. And so for me, it started with expressing my feelings. That opened one portal of transformation. Expressing my needs and setting my boundaries, that's also part of your truth. And that was sort of next level truth for me. It was actually sharing my spirituality. It was sharing that I connect to the spiritual realms. And that was terrifying. And I was so scared of losing the people I love, my partner, my family, my friends, if I came out of the spiritual closet, as people say. And that was channeling. I remember very clearly asking that question and saying, I'm yearning for a deeper connection. I'm yearning for more intimate relationships. How do I create them? What can I do? And they said very clearly, speak your truth, share who you really are. And I was like, is there not another way? And but I listened, and on the same day I shared, and it was like a magic wand. It was incredible. No rejection, no judgment, just curiosity. And I felt so free. Like the freedom, the emotional freedom you feel when you speak your truth is the most incredible feeling on earth, if you ask me. It is pure magic. It truly is. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. That's why Aquila Perspective is here. It's to help all the light workers and light leaders who have come back to earth, to help with the ascension process, to help humanity awaken to their true self, to speak their truth, and to work through those fears that we all carry. Some core fears from past lives. This is the experience I've had. The witch wounds, which I'm sure you've heard of, which everyone knows about. I've also had the Atlantean wound, so spent many lives on Atlantis, and all my clients up till now, I think, have shared the same past life with me. I mean, that's how close it was. And I mean, there are different levels. So it's the channeling, there's the awareness part. So I channel the information first from the Akashic records, and then I go deeper and do the energy work. So first you become aware, and that already shifts your perspective and shifts your energy, but you're still carrying these frozen emotions inside your body. So that fear, that guilt, that shame, and that's what needs to be shifted and to be released. And so the energy work, and this is where I work very closely with the Pleiadeans, is really, it releases these frozen emotions. So they're allowed to flow through you. And that's where you feel that emotional freedom I was speaking of, I just spoke of, speaking your truth. But it's not only speaking your truth, it also activates those dormant gifts within you. That's something that I discovered for myself, is that we're always after that feeling of completeness, of feeling whole, and especially in your work as a light worker. And, I had my channeling and I was the Akashic records, and I could still feel, it wasn't just, there was something missing. There was just something missing. And everyone kept telling me, oh, your hands are powerful. And I was like, no, they're not. I can't do anything with my hands. But it wasn't true. And, often what you resist the most is exactly what you're here to do. And yeah, so through doing these past life healings myself, my energy healing gift, let's call it like that, was activated, and I started channeling not only the information but also the healing energy of the Pleiadians and other beings as well. And suddenly I felt, oh, I'm home. It was just like I felt like I'd come full circle.
Wow, I'm over here with like full body chills. So powerful, so magical. And we're going to dive deeper into some of the things that you mentioned in this episode today. So thank you so much. And I just want to highlight a couple things that you said. It's about energy, right? Because you're tuning in and calibrating your energy to that love and that high vibration every single day. And then that automatically calibrates your energy. And so on a daily basis, you're vibrating on this beautiful, higher vibrational level, right? And that is so
Exactly.
powerful.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's absolutely key, not only to understand that, but to also realize that we all have that capacity, that we can all of us can choose to, at any instant moment of the day, to just stop and to connect to our soul. It doesn't have to be to channel the guides. It doesn't have to be that. That's amazing. But you can just simply just connect to your heart. Just simply connect to your heart and soul every, once an hour. And every time you realign yourself, you realign yourself. And the more you practice it, if you actually put your hands on your heart and just say, I connect to my heart, I connect to my heart, I connect to my heart. And then just breathe. And you can literally feel, I can feel my energy shifting. And if you do that regularly, you'll learn to notice the difference between how you felt before and how you felt afterwards.
Thank you for that. It can be that simple. It can be that simple. It
Exactly.
doesn't have to be complicated. I love that. And Natalie, I'm especially interested in integration and embodiment of this energy and wisdom from, the unseen realms, because I think that's where the real magic is, and like integrating it into our lives. So can you please give us some, real life examples of how you've embodied the channeled messages and guidance you've received and how you've put that into practice in your daily life?
I think the key is acting on it. I think that is really absolutely the first step, because I have come across so many examples of people who want to receive the information and who get really excited about it, which I absolutely understand because I've been there. I've done this too. We're so almost obsessed and hungry for information with, this digital world and that's interesting and take this course and that course, and we consume all this information, and we tend to do that with channeled messages as well. So we, say, that healer has, can channel messages. Let's what is my soul purpose, or which is amazing. It's really important because, as I said, for me, the first step of integration is awareness. I disagree to say go and do energy work and everything's fine. That's not my experience. And that's what I've been told by the guides as well. The first step is awareness. So it's actually very important to first receive that information, because first your nervous system has to actually, come to terms with, this new information, which sometimes can be, it can be overwhelming. You can sort of say, oh my God, what does this mean? And then integration has two levels. So for me, integration on the one side is energetic. So it's truly that your body, you just need to give your body time to digest, so to say, the energetic frequency, because a channeled message is an energetic frequency carried in the words. So yes, your brain understands the meaning of the words, but the words are carrying an energetic frequency that shifts your energy. And I think that's something that a lot of us don't always understand immediately. If you try and analyze a channeled message, that's not going to be very helpful. A channeled message is there to be felt and to be received on an energetic level. So that's part of the integration, is just giving yourself some time, but also, and very important, is taking care of your body, because your body has to integrate these new frequencies and it's not used to it. So going into nature, going swimming in natural water in the sea, there's nothing better, if you ask me, than going swimming in the sea if you have the possibility. But also, just having a shower, having a bath with salt in it, for example, moving your body, so doing some sort of physical exercise. Physical exercise is what I found the most helpful, because you're up there in those energies and then you have to come back down to earth. So that's the physical integration of it. And then there's the actual aligned action. So you've received these wonderful messages and, there's no magic click. Okay, they've said that, so now my life is like that. You do actually, as a human being, have to take action. So let's take an example. I'll take the example of speaking my truth because that's what happened to me. Imagine you're in the same situation as me. So, you're feeling, your relationship is not really that deep and, you feel somewhat disconnected. You really love each other, but there's a disconnect and you feel that discomfort and you don't really know what to do about it. And then you receive a channeled message, and that channeled message tells you, okay, to be able to have a deeper connection, you need to speak your truth. You need to tell this person this, and this about yourself. In my case, I connect to the spiritual realms. In your case, it might be something else, but it's definitely going to be something that you don't feel very comfortable with sharing. So what do? You can either ignore the message and say, oh, channeled message didn't work, or you take action and you're brave and you trust. And that's, part of this integration process is trusting that the divine guidance you're receiving is for your highest good. They have your back. Believe me, I've tried and tested it. It is always for your highest good. And so you take action. And so you speak and you share this information with your partner or friend or family. Sometimes family can be a very difficult, constellation. Maybe they have different beliefs and, maybe you're afraid they're going to think you're crazy. I know that happens a lot. But you say it. So you've taken that first step and you're going to feel in that moment the energetic release. And it might feel a bit weird the next few days because your body has to readjust because you've suddenly released, frozen emotions from your system. But then the key is to do it again and again and again. And the more you do it, the more your body and your nervous system is getting used to the new you. And of course, the old you is going to say, hey, that's scary, don't do it. But you do it again because you have proof and you're gaining confidence and you've got more evidence that acting on the guidance is creating the life and the results you desire. And the more you gain that evidence, the more confidence you have, the more courage you have, and you keep going. And at one point, the ego is not going to pop up anymore until you reach your next level. Then it will. And then you ask the question again, and then you have to do it again. But that's when you reach the embodiment. So at the end of the day, embodiment is the same as mastery of any skill. There are no masters of, or professional athletes. They didn't become a professional athlete from one moment to the next. They train. But they had a good coach. So if you just see your guides or the channeled message, the coach who's firing you on, who's giving you that, that precious activating information, and then they're saying you're powerful too. Create your reality. Act on our guidance, and we're here to guide you. And so you act on it. And then you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. And then you just basically reapply this to every area of your life you desire to transform. And before you know it, you've created a completely different reality. But you created it because you are powerful.
I love that perspective that like our guides in the unseen realms are our coaches and we have to take the aligned action, right? They can't do it for us, right? We have to do it. I love that so much. And we just have so much help and support on this earth journey. That's something I wish more people realize, just how much support we really, really have.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's That's really a message that's so close to my heart that I really, really desire as many people as possible to realize. And I really believe that those of us who have come back to Earth to help others on their awakening journey, that we're here to transmit that message in many different ways, but just to help people realize how connected they are, that we are all a soul in a physical body, and that you need to work with both to have the life you dream of. And I know that's why we're here. And so the more of us give that example, that's what shining your light is. It's showing up with that truth.
Yes, absolutely. And what about in motherhood, Natalie? How has, utilizing this channeled wisdom and taking this aligned action from the channeled wisdom helped you in motherhood?
I think the main way would be when it comes to expressing the importance of expressing our emotions, because that's what I really suffered from as a child, of being told that I was too emotional, too sensitive, and I was known as the one who cried all the time. And when I started working through that as an adult and receiving the guidance to express my emotions and to speak the truth of what I feel, when I had my children who, have a lot of emotions, I remember at the beginning, I fell in a sort of, repeat of what I had experienced. And then I started, channeling my guides because I needed help. I was like, how I can't do this. Help me. And I remember I looked up in one of my journals the other day, what they'd told me. And, and they said, I'm here to guide them and support them in expressing their emotions, and to tell them that it's okay to feel, and it's okay to feel angry as well. And, I give my son, ideas of how he can express his anger without it hurting other people. For, sort of to punch his pillow, or, or to make sure that he has enough, sport or, physical activity to really have an outlet for all his energy. And that acceptance, the more I accepted my own emotions and expressed them myself, so I found the more I could accept and help them to express theirs. So children are very good teachers. And they give you the perfect triggers you need to grow. So it's been a sort of give and take experience so far.
Beautiful. I love that answer so much. Thank you for sharing. And I think, just to summarize everything you shared about integrating this wisdom into your own life, the unseen realms are really helping us realize our highest potential in this lifetime.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I just wanted to say that's why they're here. Like, their mission is to support us in our growth and evolution. They want us to fulfill our soul purpose.
Yes, exactly. So, Natalie, let's get into more of how we can achieve our highest potential and highest expression, and talk about some of the wisdom and tools and practices that you've received through channeling to help us kind of reach that next level. I know from my own experiences and through working with you that one of the big keys to realizing our highest potential is self-love. And I know that's a phrase that's thrown around a lot, and I know it's something that almost everyone struggles with. So, can you please share with us why self-love is so important and one of the keys to living our highest expression, and also what wisdom you've received through channeling around self-love and how to deepen our self-love?
I think the key, or my understanding of self-love, is actually learning to love and accept our physical body in this life. Because when our soul reincarnates, the feeling is like, what is this? We suddenly have, from coming from pure love and joy and energetic freedom, we're suddenly in this container. And this is my experience of self-love. It was truly coming to terms with taking care of my body as the vessel for my soul. So really understanding that my body is the vehicle for my soul, that my soul can only express itself purely and clearly through a body that is clean, so to say, as in that's been taken care of. I mean, we say your body is your temple, and it's very true. It's very true. And so my experience was that I was so, I was going to say up in my head, but, sort of up in the spiritual realms and so connected to the realms that I was bypassing and not wanting to deal with the physical reality. And although I did a lot of physical exercise until about the age of 21, when I was 21, I ran a marathon. I set myself a challenge and, I said, I'm going to run a marathon. And after that, I completely stopped. It was too much. And I didn't do any physical exercise for years after that. Obviously, whilst traveling, you walk a lot, but not consciously. And there was a part of me that was completely rejecting the human experience. And so, again, I was looking through my journals and all the channelings I've received over the years. And that was, that's what came up. It was truly the message that how important it is to take care of your body. And I think a lot of us get really caught up in, like, we set ourselves goals that are way too big and, just seem unattainable. And I think, like everything in life, it's one step at a time. And I started with doing 10 minutes yoga every morning. I kept doing, I'd do 1 month of something and then I'd stop. Then I'd do 1 month of some other activity and then I'd stop. And I could just never commit to anything. And then I met this woman who's a yoga teacher, and she gave normal classes. And this is where I listened to my intuition. I just had that desire, and I just asked her, I said, oh, can you create 2 20-minute yoga videos for me, personalized? And one I'd like for when I have like black clouds over my head. So when my mind is like clouded, and the other one to increase my energy. And she was like, oh, sure. So she made me a personalized package and did that for me. And so I do that every morning. I didn't manage to do the 20 minutes at first. I think sort of 15 was my max. But I think about after a month of doing that, I connected to myself. I connected to my body. And I suddenly started to feel love for my body. And I was like, ooh, this is new. This is new. And then I wanted to do it. I desired to do it. And so I continued. And then at some point, I felt that my body was asking me for more movement. So I live right next to a forest. So I started doing one day yoga, and the other day I'd go running in the forest. And then, being in the contact of nature, that was, I found I could feel myself really grounding myself and really sort of cleansing my energy in the process as well. And so it's really a process. And I think that's it's really important. But the key is to reach our highest potential on Earth. And that's the important part. It's our highest potential on Earth as humans having a human experience. So we have our soul who, desires to fulfill its mission, but our soul needs our body to fulfill that mission. And if we don't take care of our body, if we reject it, if we, don't treat it well, then our soul cannot express itself properly. And so that's really been my experience, is the importance of both. Is really your soul is living in your body, and for your soul to be able to speak to you and to express itself, it needs a body that is loved and taken care of. And that's what every time the channel messages came through just always very gently reminded me of that, how important that was. Another point is, obviously what you feed your body, so your diet. And so I changed my diet 7 years ago. So that was four months after my daughter's birth. Again, I was guided to the right person to do that specific diet. And it was night and day. Like, my energy shot through the roof thanks to that change in diet. But it takes commitment, it takes devotion, and it's a step-by-step process. And yes, there'll be days where you're going to eat chocolate, and that's okay. But the most important thing, and this takes us back to the integration and embodiment, is that, if you manage to do that first month, I found that first month is really important, whether it's sports or your diet or whatever it is. If you manage to get through that first month, one day at a time, just encouraging yourself one day at a time, you feel, and it's not in your head, you feel the difference. You feel the energetic difference. And then you've made space for the desire to rise. And then you start to desire to eat that way, to give yourself higher vibrational foods to eat. And that's the key. The key is you need to reconnect to your desire. And that is your self-love that's what it is. It's everything sort of connected to each other. Self-love is the connection to your soul and to your desire. But it does require you as a creator to act and to take action and to take those small steps. And even at the beginning, if you don't feel the desire, just follow the guidance. Your coach is there, your guides are there. They're saying, okay, this is what you need right now. And the more you feel the results, the more you're going to desire to continue to do it. And then you get, you gain momentum, and then you're connected to yourself. And then you start to miss it. You go on holiday and you don't do it for 2 weeks and think, oh, I'm missing that now. So yeah, that's my experience.
I love that perspective so much. And this is just such an important thing to discuss. I'm glad that we're talking about it today. And I also just want to highlight, and you mentioned this earlier in the episode, that we are each made of love, right? At our cores, our true essence is actually love. So self-love is also the journey to remembering that and rediscovering our true essence and like our true nature and our true vibration. And I think coupled with what you mentioned, because that perspective really helps me, remembering that we're souls having this human experience and that the body is the vehicle for that experience and experiencing this reality, that perspective alone, the more I can tap into that, it helps me tap more into self-love. And remembering that helps me tap into more gratitude for this vehicle, for this body, and the journey as well. And I think from there, self-love can grow. And I also think it's important to share that self-love is the foundation for a more loving existence, right? For more loving relationships. And it's really kind of the key to everything, right? It's got to start with self-love.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's a very good point. That's what you said is, at the core, we are all here to remember who we are. To remember that, we are a soul, we are unconditional love. It is the journey. We come into this body and live a life of duality, of separation. And it's to realize that, we are all connected. We are all energy connected to each other. And absolutely, as you say, self-love is the core, because we are here to share our love with one another. And if you cannot love yourself, it's very difficult to truly love another person, which is why working with self-love is so important. And it's not that easy. It's not that easy because we have so much conditioning. We have all our life experiences in this life and all the life experiences we've had in all our past lives. And, working through that is a journey, is absolutely a journey. So I think it needs to be clear that there's no quick fix for self-love. It's simply, that spark of desire to live a more loving life and to live in a more loving world. Because at the end of the day, if you ask me, this is how we are going to create a more loving world. If each and every one of us do this work to reconnect to our soul, to reconnect to love ourselves, then we're going to live in a completely different reality and a world of love, where being loving to someone else is the most natural thing in the world. Yeah, so I think all you need is that tiny spark of desire to live a more loving life. And I think we all have that. I had very many years where I struggled with this. Like self-worth, self-love was a really big theme. And I saw therapists and I tried so many things, but I was always looking for someone else to fix me, someone else to press the button and say, "Whoo, everything's gone, you're fine now." And that doesn't work. And so it's really connecting to your own power and realizing that, you create your reality, not someone else. And just realizing, when you realize that you can take action and that when you take action, that has a consequence. It's the law of cause and effect. If you say something, something's going to happen. The person's going to react. And in the same way, if you choose to say to somebody, "I love you," you're going to get, probably a pretty nice response. And if you say, "Why are you so annoying?" well, that's also going to have a consequence. And that's the key, is that when you start to observe how you speak to yourself and you start to observe your thoughts, then you realize, okay, I might need to start to say something loving to myself. And at the beginning, it might be difficult, but it's always better to say, "You'll do better next time," as to say, "Oh, you're such an idiot. Look, you didn't manage again." And it just takes tiny shifts in your thoughts. That's also a really, really important part. So there's the physical part. So, the sport and then what you eat. But the third part, which is almost just as important, is when you have a thought, that thought creates an emotion in your body. So let's take an example. Let's take a really drastic example. "I'm a failure." How does that make you feel? Then we tend to add another thought onto that. So it's, "I am a failure," and then, and you're always going to fail. I'm always going to fail. And then you double down, so you create an even stronger emotion. And the more you do that, that's you're creating a reality. You're creating an energetic vibration by doing this. And so really becoming conscious of what you think about yourself is actually a really important first step to switching into self-love. So saying, "Oh, well done, at least I tried. At least I tried." That's already a bit better. But it's important to choose a thought that you can actually, that you stand behind. Because if you say, "I'm an amazing person," but you have no self-love, you're not going to believe that. So you're not going to feel the corresponding emotion. But if you say, "Hey, I'm working on myself," well, that makes me feel a little bit better. We're going to do better next time. Yeah, that feels good. That feels good. Just tiny little thoughts. And you can start really, and just little by little, and the next day you think, oh, I feel a bit better today. Just little by little create not only a new reality, but you create a new energetic frequency for yourself.
Yes, exactly. That's such an important point and such a big part of finding more self-love. And I want to share some self-love practices that I actually learned from you that will help in being more loving towards yourself and having more loving thoughts towards yourself. So, the first practice that I want to share is writing a love letter to yourself. Super, super powerful. And writing with love and deep gratitude to yourself for all that you are and all that you've overcome to get here. Very, very powerful. Highly recommend. More than one love letter, right? Do it often. And the next practice that I learned from you that I think is really, really powerful is acting as if you love yourself deeply. And that means pausing and inquiring with yourself often. If I loved myself really deeply, what would I do? Right. And then do that loving act. It's asking yourself, is this an act of love? Having that internal inquiry, is this a loving act, is very, very, very powerful. And then finally, another very simple practice that I learned from you that feels really, really good and helps shift the energy and shift the frequency is placing a hand on your heart and closing your eyes and just repeating over and over to yourself, I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. Yeah. And that one just feels really good and helps kind of state shift at any moment.
That is true. That is actually for some people, I think, a very difficult thing to do. And I really recommend doing that because the saying I love myself, because on saying it, you'll immediately feel how much resistance you actually have to it. So if it flows, then you've already come a pretty good way. But if it doesn't, don't judge yourself. Just take that as a beautiful sign that it's time. It's time. It's time to do this work, and it's time to, give yourself grace and take your time with it. Commitment to any practice is so, so, so important because we often get really excited and actually get amazing results at the beginning of any practice. And then, life takes over and then we stop doing it. And try things out. I think that's really, really important because not everything is going to be good for you. What's good for Marlee, what's good for me is not necessarily going to be good for you. So really pick and choose and, follow your intuition. Listen to your own guidance. All of us are receiving guidance all the time. You can say, how can I feel more self-love? And just say, I'm open and receptive to receiving an answer by the end of today. Don't try and receive it immediately because I know a lot of people get blocked with that and then it doesn't come and they think, oh, I can't do this, and then they stop. So, just say, hey, I'm open and receptive to receiving guidance on how to love myself more by the end of the day. And then go on with your day and just remain observant and aware of any signs that cross your path. And this can be a post that pops up on Instagram. It can be a book that crosses your path, or someone recommends a book. It can be lyrics in a song. It can be a conversation with somebody. The guides have so many beautiful ways to communicate with you. Ask and you'll receive. That's the key.
Yes. And again, doesn't have to be complicated, can be simple but powerful.
Exactly.
So the next key to realizing our highest potential that I want to talk about that I think will surprise no one listening, and we've both already mentioned it several times, gratitude, right? Good old gratitude.
Yep. Who hasn't heard of that?
Right. And Natalie,
the gratitude list.
Exactly. And, Natalie, if you could just share with us why gratitude is so important and one of the keys to living our highest expression, and also how we can elevate our gratitude practice and deepen our feelings of gratitude on a daily basis.
Gratitude really, it brings us back in the now. It brings you into the present moment. And all there is now. We only have the present moment. The past is not there anymore, and the future isn't there either. So all we have is the now. And we spend a lot of time thinking about the past or desiring something in the future. And then we forget to see, everything we have and are experiencing right now. And for me, gratitude is really, it's the energetic frequency of the angels. I'd heard about the gratitude journals and the secrets, and, there's so much talk about it. It's true, it is really important, but it's often, I find, used, I don't know, in a way that doesn't feel quite right for me, doesn't feel aligned for me. But I did Carl Gray's Angel Card Mastery certification a while back. And it was actually through his work that I really deeply connected to gratitude, because every time you pull the cards, you thank the angels for reminding you of their presence and revealing to you what you need to know. And so through that practice, I started to really, I was thanking the angels, on a daily basis. And then I was seeing all these angel numbers everywhere during the day. And, and every time I saw them, I was saying, thank you, my angels. And every time I said, thank you, my angels, I was overcome with this feeling of love and joy. And that started actually to change, it really changed my life, because it really changed my energetic frequency. It's also very connected to your capacity to receive. We live in abundance. There's abundance for everyone. And we hear this very often. We're human beings and we have desires. And if what we desire is not in our life, then, we kind of want it and it's not there. And, and then there's the little child in us who says, hey, I want it. And, it's not there yet. And by doing that, we're not actually connecting to the abundance we already have. And, we already live in amazing abundance. How often are you grateful for the bed you sleep in? How often are you grateful for that pot of coffee or cup of tea? When I go, running in the woods, and the sun is shining, and, I literally just stand and I just feel so much gratitude just for that warmth on my face. Or just listening to the leaves rustling or the wind. Or, when I eat a really good meal, I love to eat. And if I'm eating a really good meal, I'm so grateful for having this food on my plate. I think it's just really, really important to connect to where you are now in your life and to really appreciate it deeply and to be grateful for everything you have. And also, it's absolutely fine to desire more or to desire, something else. But nevertheless, what you have right now is still a gift. It's still a gift. And you say that gratitude is the portal to your soul. It's the portal to your heart. And if you're feeling really, icky and in a bad mood and nothing's working, just as I love myself is extremely powerful, what's also powerful, just as powerful, is when you put your hands on your heart and you just say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. If you say thank you 20 times, you've shifted your energy and you've aligned yourself with your heart again. So I love myself, and saying thank you, they're, for me, in my experience, the most powerful words. And it's, such a beautiful high vibrational frequency that, always brings you back to your soul.
Yes, exactly. I love that answer. And the frequency of gratitude opens us up to our souls and our hearts. And it's also a portal of transformation, right? It is, in my opinion, one of the fastest ways to living the life of our dreams. Whatever you desire, the pathway is gratitude.
It is, absolutely. It is gratitude. I think there are more elements to it because I know there's a teaching in regards to manifestation where it's said that, you know, say be grateful for what you desire as if you already had it. But I found that if you can't get behind that belief, you know, that, for example, I'll take an exaggerated example, you know, I'm so grateful to have $1 million. I know I don't have $1 million. And so I can say that as much as I want. I'm not believing myself when I say that. And so this is the same principle as what I was saying earlier about the thoughts, you know, change your thoughts, but change them into thoughts that you can relate to. And that's why being just simply grateful for what you have now, you know, you have that now. So you can really feel true gratitude for that because it's there. It's there. You're living it. And then you can just say more, please, instead. Life gives you exactly what you need to grow. And it will give you things that your imagination isn't even capable of coming up with. So some people want, you know, the exact desires and, you know, set themselves up with everything and the vision board. Fine, everyone does what feels good for them. But for me, my experience is I'm leaning in to trust. And I know, because that's my experience in my whole life, is I've always been gifted the most extraordinary experiences and opportunities, and I've met the most incredible people. And I never envisioned them or asked them to appear. You know, it's just life gifts you exactly what you need. And all you need to do is just be grateful for what's there in that moment.
I've been working with gratitude practices for years, but I wanted to share a perspective shift that you gave me related to gratitude, that it was actually really transformational related to this, really kind of elevated my gratitude game. Because basically, I said to you, I was feeling like overwhelmed by life and responsibilities and the endless to do lists and feeling like I had no time. That's a big one for me, feeling like I don't have enough time. I felt like I felt like I had no time to, work on this podcast or my spiritual business. And I was resentful that I have to work full time in a job that I don't love and that isn't resonant to support myself. And my free time is used up by chores like cleaning my apartment and doing laundry and going grocery shopping, etc. Like the works. I basically was like, I'm overwhelmed by life, basically. And your response, along with the channeled wisdom, was, how deeply can I appreciate what I have now in this moment? How grateful can I be for my home, my current job, and the money that I currently have? Focus on the gratitude for all that is already in my life. So, can I be grateful for my apartment that I get to clean? Can I be grateful for the job that is paying my bills and supporting me right now while I build the life of my dreams? Can I be grateful for the 5 minutes that I have to meditate that day? Can I be grateful for the 20 minutes I had to dedicate to this podcast? Being grateful for the time and the space that I do have And that was the perspective shift that I really needed, that I really wanted to share today. And it's basically calibrating our energy on a daily basis to that of gratitude over lack, right? Because I was coming to you basically with a perspective of lack. So it's calibrating to that energy of gratitude over lack. And that opens a vortex of miracles and brings our dream life closer. Total game changer for me, and I'm very grateful for you.
Yeah, the guides have amazing wisdom, and that is true. And I had a similar shift a while back, because I was same as you. I was working in real estate, and I didn't want to do it, and I wanted to just only do the spiritual business, and I was resentful, and the same. They completely shifted my perspective. They said to me, all the revenue you're creating with this job is allowing you to invest in mentorship and invest in yourself and investing in the healing work you are doing now. And that was the one perspective shift. And then, that obviously completely, as you said, you suddenly become incredibly grateful for it. And the other one was actually using that job and that experience to fine-tune my intuition. So I started, because I was showing flats, so I was seeing a lot of people, and my job was to find the perfect fit for these flats, and suddenly I started to enjoy it, because I was like, I was intuitively feeding into these people, and feeding those who are in a frequency of truth and those who who are absolutely not. And then suddenly I was having fun. And it's just the power of perspective is such a gift. I'm always absolutely amazed how powerful it is. It can literally change your life in a millisecond.
It really can. Yeah, it really, really can. And Natalie, one thing I just want to highlight and kind of repeat, and you talked about it a bunch at the beginning, but I just wanted to highlight the importance of it, because I do think it's also one of the keys to living our highest expression, is that truth and authenticity and speaking your truth that you mentioned earlier, right? Because the frequency of truth and speaking your truth also opens portals of transformation, right? Speaking your truth is also one of the frequencies that will create what you desire. And in addition to gratitude, in addition to self-love, and also speaking your truth and living authentically ripples out and affects everyone around you and lifts everyone around you up.
Absolutely. As I said, for me, truth has been sort of it's been my sort of the work of my life. And yeah, literally the frequency of truth literally dissolves lower frequencies, I'd almost say. And it's incredibly magnetic. And it's a portal of transformation, because it gives, as you said, if you speak your truth, you give someone else the permission to speak their truth. And it's not only inspiration, that too, you are inspiring, but they feel it, they feel it on an energetic level. And it literally, your truth dissolves their fear to speak their truth. And that's why it is just, it's such a gift for yourself, because the feeling is incredible when you speak your truth, but it's a gift for every single person you meet. And that is, I can't even say how important it is, especially in the world today. If each and every one of us would just speak their truth. And the thing is, speaking your truth can also be to say, I'm feeling angry. That is also the truth. And I think this is important, because with especially as I think as women, we've been taught being angry is not, you're not supposed to be angry, sort of thing. I take this example because all emotions have their right to be. They're all fine. All emotions are okay. the important thing is that we feel them, that we allow ourselves to feel them and to express them. And if you ask me, to also understand, where they're coming from and why. And of course, taking your anger out on somebody is not going to create the life you need, but actually being able to feel your anger, maybe take a minute for yourself, and just let it flow through you. And then, have that conscious conversation and say, I'm feeling a lot of anger about this. I'd like to talk about it, and maybe set boundaries. That is also truth. So it's not only about, your soul purpose and, coming out of the spiritual closet and saying, I communicate with intergalactic beings, which, is not easy, believe me. But, it's also in everyday life. It's also, saying to your friend, no, this, I can't help you today. I'll come another time, but right now that it just doesn't work for me. And not saying I don't have time because maybe you do. It's like really truly saying, no, sorry, I can't. Or I don't have the energy right now. Whatever the truth is in that moment. And those small things are so difficult for so many of us because we have, we often carry that fear of rejection in us and that desire to be loved, which brings us back to the self-love. It's all, everything is connected. So the more we love ourselves, the more capable we are to speak our truth and set those boundaries and, say no without fearing rejection, because, we are connected to ourselves, to our power. We love ourselves. And as you were saying earlier, what would I do if I deeply love myself? And if in that moment you actually just need time for yourself, then that's what you do.
Exactly. And that's what all of this is really about, this whole conversation. It's all about becoming more aware of what we're sending out to the universe, right? What vibrations and frequency we're sending out, and aligning with self-love, gratitude, truth, speaking your truth, authenticity sends out vibrations that will call in our highest expression and our soul's desires, right? Because we have that power. We are creators of our life.
Exactly.
Natalie, if more people were able to move through, the fears and the blocks and the barriers and everything keeping them from moving forward and aligning, and if people aligned with love and gratitude and truth and authenticity and realize their highest potential, how do you think the world would be different?
We would live in such a magical place. Just imagining the conversations and the creations and the nature and just the joy, just the joyful communities, joyful, loving connections. And I actually believe at some point, telepathic communication, where our channeling skills and our connection is so high that, that we just flow. But like right now, to keep it sort of realistic, just if, 20, 30% of the population would, connect to their true self and really only act out of love, the immediate domino effect would be huge, because, it's actually quite mind-boggling. The human imagination really struggles almost to see what it would look like, because, imagine everybody doing their soul work. It really opens a questioning field of, what's that actually going to mean? How differently are we going to live? But I just think from a human perspective, just the wave of joy and love and excitement and, and creativity. I think the creativity that will come out of of a world in which we're connected to our true selves will be absolutely extraordinary, because that's the key. We are all creators. And so right now, a lot of us are creating unconsciously out of fear, through our blocks, through wounds, and creating a reality that we don't actually even want. But if you imagine that everyone, starts consciously creating, it's that conscious creation, then the sky's the limit. Like, it's infinite possibilities that not even my mind can't quite grasp. But I want to be there.
Yes, I love that answer. It'd be such a more loving world, and it's a beautiful vision to hold. And I certainly can't wait. And Natalie, no pressure, but if you're willing and able, could you possibly please bring through a channeled message for the collective of people that will be listening to this episode?
Yes. But I think I'll be calling in the Pleiadeans. So if you just give me a minute to connect. So I've called in the Pleiadian Council of Light. Thank you for joining us in this sacred space and revealing to us what the collective of listeners of this podcast needs to know today. Dear soul, what a joy it is to be here today and to connect to you. We are indeed the Pleiadian Council of Light, and we are here to guide you on your journey on Mother Earth. It is indeed time, dear soul, for you to walk the path of love, to fulfill the mission you came here to do on Mother Earth. Your soul is pure, and all those who are listening today need to know that they too are here on a soul mission, a mission of great importance that is to help humanity awaken to soul remembrance, awaken to unconditional love. For, dear one, it is time. It is time to activate that soul remembrance. It is time to show the way, and for all of you to shine your lights so brightly that all who cross your path are activated and inspired to move towards their true self, to move towards a life of truth. For it is the truth, dear soul. It is the truth that will bring about the change you all deeply desire to see and experience. So, dear soul, today it is important for you to know that the time has come to begin the first phase of activation that will bring about the change that is desired. This activation, dear soul, will take place on an energetic level. And all those that receive these words today are being activated now into soul remembrance, and their mission is now to begin. We work together as a community. We are here to guide you on this journey. It is not necessary to follow every single word we say. All you need to understand is that your work is important, and your light and love is needed now. So, dear one, remember who you are. Share your light today, and all will be done. Thank you for your message. Do you have an extra question, Marlee?
The thing that's popping into my mind is just any guidance or actions that those listening need to take for their highest and greatest good.
Dear Pleiadian Council of Light, are there any specific actions or specific guidance you can give the listeners to express their highest potential? Dear soul, the most important thing we have to share today is for you to listen to the calling of your soul. We know this may seem vague, yet you feel this calling. You know why you are here. And all we ask of you today is to be truthful to yourself about the desire you feel. Be truthful to yourself about the path you desire to take. For the truth, dear one, will free you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming through today. Thank you.
Wow, I had full body chills that whole time, Natalie. Thank you so much for bringing through those messages. I'm just eternally grateful. And you can really feel the energy when you channel. I love it so much. I'm like, my eyes are watering.
Yeah, the Pleiadians have a very, very potent and potent energy, and that was an activation in itself. So don't be surprised if things start happening.
Natalie, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your energy and your wisdom. I'm so grateful, and I loved this conversation so much.
I thank you. It was really a great, great pleasure to speak to you today and just to share and have a conversation with my soul family. You're part of it, I know. And yeah, it was beautiful. And I really hope that the listeners will find their truth, will listen to their truth, and will tell themselves their truth first, because as the Pleiadeans just said, that's the beginning. The beginning is tell yourself the truth.
I have one final big important question for you to end today. What is your vision for the future of humanity and the earth?
I don't think I can say I have a vision. What I feel is just so much love. We all carry so much love within us that can grow and be shared exponentially. And I know it's coming. I know it's going to happen, and I don't know when, and I probably will not be here as a human body when it happens, but if we can all just take radical responsibility for ourselves and realize our power to create this world of love, to create a loving world. If this conversation today activates just one thing inside of you, my wish, my desire would be that you really, really take to heart how powerful you are and what a role you have to play in the creation of this loving world.
You have the power to create the life of your dreams. Your heart's desires are calling to you, beckoning you forward. I hope you see now that the pathway to reach your highest potential doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as a perspective shift, a state shift, a shift in frequency. And self-love and gratitude and truth and authenticity can help you get there. I, for one, can't wait to see who you'll become and what you'll create when you realize your highest expression. After all, this is a world of endless possibilities. Anything we can dream is available to us and more. I'll end today with a quote from Sia Lanu Estrella. The thing to understand about living in highest expression and sharing your highest service is that there are no limitations. It can take any form. A person can be in their highest expression in any role, because highest expression is about sharing your greatest gifts and being in highest service. Your highest expression is you, vibrating as divine love and walking this earth as the God and Goddess embodied. It is you being the transmission tower of this frequency and lifting up all around you. And it is you living your greatest fulfillment by creating as creation itself.